I need that little reminder, otherwise I completely forget to record. There's basically three things that I wanted to talk about real briefly is that there's the new name, there's the new radio, and there's the new frequency template. And uh, so the new name, that basically came about because folks elsewhere in the county whenever an EVC person would show up and talk about radio and they'd say yellow radio, people in the rest of the county would go, "What?" And we, so uh, we kind of knew we needed a new name to describe what we were talking about. And we haven't been yellow for a while. The 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 up until a month or so ago, these black radios, the black version of the yellow radio, the Baofeng stopped making the yellow ones, and so we had to go to the black ones, and so they were. But everybody seemed to be okay with calling them yellow radios. They knew what we were talking about. Uh, but the radios that we were recommending to other communities were also black. They weren't this one. They were a different one, and that really kind of confused things. But there's a bunch of other communities that are developing a radio network kind of like ours. Bay City, Oceanside, Cape Mears, Nesquin, Rockaway Beach, and Tillamook. They're all have various radio groups forming and in different stages of uh, forming. So it's kind of a good thing. But we're trying to kind of coordinate all the activity, and so we really needed a new name. And I think Steve F. over in Wheeler was actually the first one to come up with the whole neighborhood radio nomenclature. And so we ran that, excuse me, we ran that by everybody and the other places. And they were like, oh, okay, that sounds great. It's better than GMRS radio because it's a little more descriptive about how you use it as opposed to the service that it uses. And so they said, yeah, neighborhood radio is great. So that's what we said, all right, we'll change over all our stuff from yellow radio and we'll start using the term neighborhood radio for it. So is that any questions on that piece?
Nope. Good idea.
Okay. Well, and about the same time, uh, a couple of EVC folks said, I I really can't read. I'm getting old and I really can't read the display on the old yellow radios. And it's affecting them to be able to get the right frequencies put in uh, on that. And they basically made their complaints, observations to Michael Kay, and he took it on himself to like research the new radios. These old yellow radios, they've been around since 2010, I think, something like that. Long time. They're pretty old radios, and the technology's come a long way since then. So it seemed like it was kind of a good time to like investigate if there was a new radio available. And uh, Michael zeroed in on this radio, TID radio HT HDH8. And you can tell it kind of looks a little bit the same. All the buttons and everything look about the same, have the same things. And so it was kind of a new generation it wasn't by the same company that made the old yellow radios. It was a different company, but somehow related. They're all Chinese radios, but it had this nice color display, which made it. This picture actually makes the old display look pretty good, but the color display is quite a bit better when you see them. So color display was a main selling point. It's got USB-C charging, which, that's what everybody's moving towards these days. So that's a positive. The uh, so it has USB-C charging for both the battery pack and the desktop thing. It's got a bigger keyboard. You can kind of see how it's bigger here. It's got a heftier feel. So, it's a bigger radio and it's a little bit heavy. It's heavier in the hand. And so I find it's easier to maneuver. It's not too heavy. Yeah, it's got roughly the same amount of power, depending on who you look at. We measure the power of all the new ones, and that's pretty close to the old ones, but a little bit higher power maybe. It's got a bigger battery, so it'll last longer, which is good. And it's got a lower price, so it's a fancier radio for less price. So the ones that the black versions of the yellow radios were about $65, and uh, the new neighborhood radios, you could call them green or chartreuse or something. The green radios are $45, so they're actually cheaper right now. Very importantly, all the channels are compatible. So channel 119, we can program it to make it 119 on the new radio and all that. So we'll talk about the channel template here in a second. And uh, all the accessories are the same. So if you got a speaker mic, if you got the headphones, if you got antennas, all that stuff works on the new radio just like it did on the old radio. So it's a very compatible thing. Let's see, I think. Uh, so it's got an on and off volume. It shows you the channel number in big letters. It's still got the A-B thing like the old radio does. And there's an A-B button and it's down here now and the little indicator, the little arrow goes up and down just like the old one did. Uh, it's got an extra button on the side that the old radio didn't have. So we've programmed those to be KQMI as on one button and the NOAA weather radios on the other button. So that's kind of nice. You don't have to figure out what the NOAA channel is. So there's a bunch of other kind of internal newnesses that we've taken advantage of too. Um, any questions on the basic new radio?
John, this is Ann.
Yep.
Probably a year from now, there'll be another version of this, and a year after that, there'll be another version. So, is there any thought to calling this Neighborhood Radio 1? So that the next one,
Uh,
3 years from now, somebody's going to say, well, which neighborhood radio do you have? The chartreuse one or the orange one? Or
yeah, that's a good point about
Well,
what they call it. I mean, we've started calling the yellow radio classic, and then so the green radio is the new radio. So I don't think we've thought that far in
so
advance.
so is it the specific radio that you're trying to name, or is it the idea that we've got a network of neighborhood radios?
Yeah, well, that's a good point, Steve. So we're kind of doing it all at once, right? So we're,
Right, but the thing is, just like now, people say yellow radio, black radio. 2 years from now, the next iteration of this radio is going to be different, and people are going to say, "Well, do you have the first version or the second version?" Maybe we should just wait until the second one comes out and say, "This is neighborhood radio 2."
yeah, exactly. I think that's the way to handle it because
Does it make any difference as long as the radios perform synchronously? Whatever you call it.
yeah. I mean, the when we were thinking about the radio, the some of the radios that we looked at had a channel configuration that you couldn't keep the channels, channel numbers the same, which we thought was, it ended up that that was just a non-starter. Everybody knows 119, everybody knows their zone channel. If we change those, the re-education of 300 people would be tough to do. So we were really focused on making sure we had a radio that had the same basic thing. So the new radios have the old radios have 127 channels. The new radios have 199. And so it's got more channels. We decided to actually not use them, use the extra ones. But what we did do is we realized that if this brings up the new channel template piece, that if we rejiggered the channels just a little bit, that we could include all of these, whoops, sorry about that. Come on, no, I don't want to do that. Stop.
Sounds like me on a computer.
You know, this darn little annotate thing is covering up the button I need to get to.
Yeah. Just give me what I want.
Yeah. How do I get that?
Most of my
Excuse
swearing
me.
happens at times like this.
There we go. One of the things that when I came to EVC, one of the things that really bugged me about Yellow Radio is that I couldn't take it outside of the area and use it any place. I couldn't talk to anybody else except EVC. And the radio is capable of supporting regular GMRS channels. So it's like, why don't we just put those in? And so we rejiggered things so that there's a new frequency template that has all the regular GMRS channels. That's all the light blue things here, both the regular channels and also the GMRS repeater channels in there. So you can, if you have a radio with this new channel template, you can use it basically any place.
Are you looking at a different thing? I'm just seeing you and the radios in your background. What are you looking at that has
Is this
the blue thing?
No, you had it, John. I was seeing the template.
You are seeing the template.
Well, now
I'm not seeing
now
it.
now I'm seeing the channel template. You're not, Steve?
No.
Oh, that's weird.
Really? Okay,
Yeah,
well,
it is weird.
Yeah, let me
Lorraine, are you seeing it?
Ray sees it.
Hang on a second, please.
Lorraine sees it. Maybe Steve should leave and come back in.
Hang on a second. I had two things going on here. It was let me unshare and then I'll share again, Steve, and you let me know.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to share again. Did that change any?
No, but I have on the bottom of my screen, I have right in the middle of all those little characters, I've got a thing called share and it's lit up green.
Yep, that's
But
okay.
but
That's supposed to be.
is that me to share
It would
or
be, yeah, but you don't have to share.
I know maybe that's the problem is that
Well, it's normal.
I can leave and come back in.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
So John, looking at this new template, does this mean that we need to get all of our radios reprogrammed?
No, that's the beauty of this template is that it it's compatible with if you want to have these new blue GMRS channels, yes, you need to get it reprogrammed. But if you don't really care and you're just going to use your radio, just, in the EVC area, you don't have to do anything.
What's the benefit? What's the benefit of having the 30 CMRS channels?
Well, you could go to Portland or, wherever and take your radio with you and talk to folks who are uh, using regular GMRS radios like they bought at Costco or something.
So, in my case specifically, I only use this radio locally. So, the last time Bruce programmed my radio, which was a few months ago, I should just leave it alone then.
Yep. You don't have to change a thing. That's really the kind of beauty about the new template is if you want the new stuff, you can do it. If you don't need the new stuff, you don't have to do a thing. Everything just works.
Will that be made clear on the EVCMB website?
I hope it is. I'll talk about that next.
All right.
So everything from channel 90 to 119 is basically all the same between the old and the new. So all the MERS channels, all the zone channels and stuff, those are all the same between the old template and the new template. We've added a lot of these other up and down the coast places have put in GMRS repeaters like we have and like 119, and they've said, they've asked us what to do, and that's one of the things we've suggested is they put in a GMRS repeater, and they've done that. So if you look, Cannon Beach has one here, 115. Bay City has one now. And Rockaway Beach has one, and Tillamook has one. So, and then there's a few extra open spots that for other communities to get in there. So you can now travel with your yellow radio, and if something happens and you're in, Cannon Beach, or if you're in Rockaway Beach or Tillamook, you can get on and participate just like you would if you were in EVC. So that, from the county's perspective, that's a real big plus to be able to have that, because the EVC folks are, demonstrated that we kind of know what we're doing relative to radio stuff and checking in and doing exercises and stuff. So other communities are kind of picking up on that and taking advantage of that expertise. The other thing that's changed in the template is all the ham repeaters are now changed so that they're much more of a coastal focus. So we've got repeaters up and down the coast. We had a bunch of, and just a handful of ones that are in the valley. It used to be we had a whole bunch more in the valley and not a whole lot on the coast. So we've kind of rejiggered those a little bit to get more. And we've still got the white channels here are unassigned channels, and so they're available if something new happens. We can put stuff in there.
John, this template only goes with the new neighborhood radio, right?
No,
Well, I'm looking on my yellow radio at 120 and it's OPS 5.
right. So the 120 is OPS 5.
Hang on. I can't read the dial.
You need the new radio so you can read the
I think it's 115.
one.
Yeah. It's 115. And according to this, 115 should be the Cannon Beach repeater.
Yes. And what is it on yours?
On mine, it says OPS
OPS
5.
5. Yeah. So, I mean, boy, that must be an old one, a really old one. I mean, that's way back in terms of channel templates. So there are a few little exceptions like that you don't really use OPS 5 that much. So
Right.
it's not it shouldn't, hopefully it's not a big thing. The biggest impact here is for the hams, because the hams are all used to using 005 for Manzanita. Well, if you look, 005 is now 35, 035.
By the way, 005 still acts up, John, just as a side note.
Oh,
Put it underneath the blanket somewhere, but I think still a pain in the butt.
yeah. Well,
So if we want to use our yellow radios for ham radios, we don't want to look at this template,
you could.
except that it doesn't say what I hope it says.
Well, you could get your radio reprogrammed,
Okay.
and it would then be available to be on GMRS regular channels as well, and it would have the new ham thing.
So if I got my old yellow radio reprogrammed, I would be able to use this new channel template.
Yes. Yeah. So we
Save-
can we
Save
can
my $45.
that's right. So you could, if you want to get the new template but you don't want to spend the money for the new radio, no problem. We can reprogram the old radios.
Great.
Then you have a whole bunch of GMRS channels that you may or may not use.
Right. Right. So,
So the GRMS channels, got a question about that. So those are available to anybody or what?
yeah, they're license free, they're,
So if you want to use I've got 2 yellow radios that I was planning to give to my grandsons,
oh,
and could they get on a GRM on those channels?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Cause you've got a GMRS license, right?
right.
Yeah. And so your GMRS license applies to all your family members.
Oh, cool.
Important, John,
So-
you have GMRS.
What was that, Ray?
You have to have a license for GMRS.
You do have to have a license for GMRS, but if Steve wanted to give those get the radios reprogrammed and give them to his kids, he could still use. This is super
I know.
FCC technical, right? But he could use, I think it's channels 7 through 14 or something that the kids can use, don't have to have a license at all. Zero
Yep.
license.
Yeah, very seriously, if anybody in Tillamook County has it, well, I shouldn't say that, but I doubt I think there are a few GMRS licenses in Tillamook County.
Yeah, but there's quite a few. I mean, anybody that's in the kind of emergency preparedness stuff, a lot of people have GMRS licenses.
Well, and they only cost like $35 for 10 years or something like that, right?
Right.
So
So let's see if I remembered everything here. Standard GMS. So so for new people, like somebody moves in and they want to get a yellow radio, they'll get one of the new radios, and it'll have we can program the new radios so that they are in channel mode only. So you never hear the frequency mode thing. It's only just channels. And so you don't have to worry about any of that. And so that's how we program them up that way. If they become a ham, we can unlock that if they want, and then allow the transmitting on the ham channels, and it's still all the same channels and stuff. So we can still allow both of those for the hams. The advantage is that we have one channel card, so we've got a channel cards made. We're making up channel cards like we did for the old stuff, and it applies to both GMRS and to hams. And let's see. Oh, if you remember the bottom thing here, fixes the KQMI thing. If you remember, we did an exercise where we used KQMI for something, and whenever somebody on 119 would transmit, it would cut out the KQMI transmission. I don't know if you encountered that stuff. It was kind of a foible of the way the old radios work. Well, they fixed that on the new radios. And so for the new radios, if you select KQMI, you will listen to KQMI until you unlisten, until you turn it to a regular channel. So you don't get all these breakup interaction stuff, which is created a lot of confusion before. So I think that's it. Yep. So one other thing was, so this is all now, we've made the conversion to most of the stuff. Already on the website. So if you go to the website and look under response and then neighborhood radio. So this has all been updated. And if you go to the neighborhood radio website, you'll see that there's now new neighborhood radio information and classic neighborhood radio information. So the new neighborhood stuff it's the FAQ you can see what the FAQ is about the name change, and hopefully we've answered a bunch of questions about radios and stuff. There's the new channel card that we're getting printed. That's got that all, and then the accessories for the new radios are also there. So this and the classic stuff is all the same kinds of things that we've had before.
John, has anybody, I think you mentioned, tested how close it is to broadcasting at 10 watts?
Oh, that's very interesting because we've now got maybe 15 radios of the new version, the green radios, out in the field, and we've been doing QA as they come in and we reprogram them, and we've been checking transmitter output because the ones that, like, I got an early one and it was like there was claims about 8 watts or 10 watts and that kind of stuff, and it was like, no, I'm not seeing 8 or 10 watts. And so we've been doing this quality control, and then I just happened to notice on the Amazon site where we buy this from, it now says 5 watts. So, which is what I'm seeing, right? It's 5 to 6 watts is what we're seeing. So it's like, oh, okay, they've they're a little truth in advertising here, I think. But
At the TID radios, I had to decide between the H3 and the H8. At that time, and this has been several months, I chose the H3 because of its better programming abilities.
mhm.
That's changed with the H8 now, but I went with the H3, and that's what I've been using when we go on our little exercise.
Yeah, there's Ray's talking about the TID radio has two radios. One is the H8, which is this big one, and then they've got one that's an H3, which is about the size of the old radios. And the actually they're a little smaller than the old radios. And we thought about picking the H3, but the keyboard is even smaller than the regular radio. And it had aircraft band, which is pretty cool, but we don't use that for anything. And it had some other programming things that were interesting, but the H8 won out just because it was a little more uh, easier to manage in terms of the keyboard and the display stuff. So that's why we chose the H8. Not because of power. As long as it had about the same power as the old radio, we were happy with that. So
As you asked, power is kind of directly related to your line of sight. I mean, you can't power through a mountain, so
no,
whether you're water or you're an 8 watt or a 10 watt, it's all going to depend on what you're going through to talk to someone. So,
yeah. Okay. Well, any other questions?
thank you, John.
Thank you, everybody. A small but mighty group. And
So I suppose I should go to the website to find out where and when I can buy one, right?
oh, yeah, thank you for that, Ann. There's going to be, if you want to buy one, you can get one. I don't know if it's going to be up in the next day or so, but if you go to the Go Bag store,
Oh, okay,
you'll be able to buy them through the Go Bag store.
okay. And they come with that channel card?
We've just put in the printer order for them, and so we're kind of waiting for that to come in. But we will have the channel cards up.
Okay, thanks.
And
All right.
I've got a question for you, John. I think I heard it said, I can't remember who said it, but that, or maybe it was you, that you can reprogram the yellow radios to the new frequency template.
Yes. And so what we're going to do is it might be when the Go Bag stores are open, but we're going to have a couple of different reprogramming opportunities so that
Okay.
people can bring new or old radios in, and we'll program them up for you.
Sounds good.
And we'll send out announcements about that to the Yellow Radio group.
Excellent.
Right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Okay, you
See you.
too.
See you on Sunday, Lorraine.